So we have been working from home a little bit lately, as I'm sure a lot of you can relate to in the current climate. And we've just been talking a little bit about the way, I guess, the internet use is changing in the current environment that we're living in with isolation, quarantining, all that sort of thing. So specifically with digital marketing, just the changes that are happening between the use of Google, the use of Facebook, Instagram, all that sort of thing. So I will hand over to Letoya, who has much more knowledge about this kind of stuff than I do, just about some of the changes and trends that are happening now that we're all locked inside, and just, the way we're using the internet differently.
So often we, as Flair, we encourage a lot of our clients to invest in Google advertising, which is still a good way to go. We're just finding at the moment in the current climate that while the traffic is there, there's not a lot of conversions, which a lot of people could probably figure that out without the data, but people are probably not spending as much online as they normally would. They're not actually going to the websites. They're just seeing seeing it on the AdWords. So you have your Google in, fishing business, and all your little ad businesses come up, and so we're finding that it's not as much bang for buck with advertising. So things like cost per click and those sorts of things, they've gone up. So we've just been talking about how that actually applies to a lot of the small businesses and how you can work with that, and what's a smart way to go about it. So we think that it is still a good thing to go with Google advertising, but I guess not having your goal as getting your sales. At the moment, the goal is brand awareness and keep things ticking on and keeping people familiar with what you're about and what you do. So
I guess probably what you're about, what you do. So part of that obviously is the Google AdWords and putting your business in front of people.
Yes.
But then once you've got your business in front of people, what do you then have to have in place to make sure that it's a good first impression that people are seeing?
Yes. So getting in place, you need a solid website. You need a website that's going to be easy to use, and
mobile responsive.
Mobile responsive is a huge thing, and making sure. So we've actually been talking about how it's a bit of an ecosystem with your website, making sure that everything is working well, so that Google AdWords will actually work out. Yeah, you get better bang for your buck again with how that works, because Google will prefer your website if it's better with your SEO ecosystem, I guess, for lack of a better term.
So I'm currently spending money in AdWords.
Yes.
It's now costing me more money to get people to see my business.
Yes.
So what do I do? Do I pull money out of Google? Do I stick with spending money in Google? Do I look at doing organic things like making videos and photos and whatever that just get shared and liked organically rather than spending money for it? Where do I put my time?
Yeah. Put your time into thinking about people are not spending, but where are they actually spending their time online? So the very obvious thing is that they're spending their time on Facebook, they're spending their time on Instagram, it's all on the social medias, and that is what you need to be putting your efforts into right now. So we could see a change in this in a few weeks. Google has everything changes, but Google has announced that they're going to be offering small and medium businesses advertising credits. So then this could actually swing things a little bit, and we will let you know. But for now, getting organic engagement on Facebook. So people are on social media because they want to be entertained, they want to be educated, and they want to be connected. So if, as a business owner, you've got to find creative ways to be able to get that happening. You've got to find creative ways to have content that does those things. If you put social media content that's all about just getting the sale, no one cares. Sorry. I'm sure you have a great thing to sell, but people are not on social media to be sold to. They go on Google to spend their money. They're typing in because they're ready to make the sale if they Google things, or they're researching to make a sale. But if they're on Facebook or Instagram and things like that, they're not there to be buying stuff. They're there, and if you can make make them aware of your company and what you're about in an entertaining, informing, or a connecting way, that's what you got to put your effort into right now.
There's anyone in business who sort of works on their business stuff. There's a guy called Gary Vaynerchuk. He's an American guy, very clever with marketing, social media, sort of being ahead of trends and that sort of stuff. He had a book a few years ago now.
Yeah, it's quite a few.
Quite a few years ago now. It was called Jab, 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 Right Hook. And so what the working backwards, so your right hook is when you ask for a sale, when you actually ask for money from your customers, and the jabs is those things where you're providing content for people, you're giving them useful information, you're entertaining them, you're putting out content, and he puts out so much content, and it's so useful as well. Like, not everything is applicable to every business, but there's definitely something you can take out of the things that he says, and it's not always the most polished looking content. Like, he has a video guy and a bit of a crew that work with him, so it does still look, everything's subtitled and it does look quite nice, but just a few little simple things that you can do with creating content is you look for some good lighting, try and get in a room that's not all concrete and hard surfaces where the microphone will work properly, and just creating that sort of content that people are actually going to want to watch, and appealing to your, so probably a question for you, are you appealing to your existing audience, or are you trying to attract new clients?
Well, that's a very good question, because I come from a PR background, so I'm always about getting advocates. So that's clients that have already got your product or used your business, and they rave about you to everybody else, which then draws in more people. But from the marketing perspective, you're always wanting to grow. So it's a very good question.
Stuff check. We might have to make that in the sequel. But,
it just depends what your goals are at the moment, and obviously everyone's wanting to grow, but you're needing to expand that audience in order to. So say, for example, your usual audience might only have, I don't know, you might have 10% a week that are buying from you. You may be looking to expand that at the moment, because it would be quite a less amount of people willing to part with their money just at the moment.
Depending on the industry you're into, like there's businesses that are booming at the moment, like that are thinking creatively and doing it well, and there's food businesses that are doing takeaways, there's transport businesses that are having to put on staff to move extra stock and food and everything around. So there are businesses out there that are doing well.
And the capital cities, the bike businesses are doing well because no one can use public transport. So.
So there's creative ways to do things, and I guess it's just sort of thinking outside the box, and just what is going to be the way that your business can adapt. Because, as I said, things are changing very quickly at the moment, but sort of looking at a 3 months or a 6 month strategy, what can you put in your business now and work on your business to be then better for when everything returns back to normal. So and Crisis is the author of innovation. So being in this period of time right now and putting, it is putting a little bit of pressure on yourself, but you can be using that for your creativity to come out and find new different ways. Even just looking at stories on social media, we were looking the other day, and just how the quirkiness of people is coming out, and I'm loving it. Some of the stories that are getting around on Instagram and stuff now, people are they've been shut off from the world for a little while, and things are getting a bit interesting.
It's amazing.
There's some really funny, clever stories that people are doing, and it's nothing complicated. It's just the way that they think, and it gives you a good little insight into the way people operate and the way they think. So instead of previously, you may have sort of been relying on AdWords to be able to direct people to your website, whereas now you might have to actually think creatively about creating some sort of content that is going to engage your audience. And then also I had a real little gem of something to think of then, but it wasn't. It was about. Oh, the other thing was with directing people to your website using Google AdWords. That's obviously getting more expensive now, so you can work on stuff like your SEO.
Yes.
And so your search engine
Yes.
optimization for your website. So the way, instead of paying Google to put your website in front of people, setting up your website better so that it just comes up in front of people. Google ranks
It's more
it
likely.
higher. Yeah,
More
so
likely to come
like
up organically.
3 things you can do.
3 things. Okay, there's a lot, but
Say
I'll
3.
give you 3. Blog posts, regularly adding a blog or changing your website every week. If you can be just doing one little thing, never set your website and just forget about it. That tells Google that you set up a business and now you're not fixing it and not doing anything on your website. It tells Google that you're not in business anymore and they won't share it. So always updating your website. So doing things like blog posts is great. I know that sometimes there's some companies, they actually have the same paragraph done, written like 6 different ways, and they just copy and paste and swap them out, which is cheating. If you really want to do that, you could. Blogs are fun though. They're a good way to actually elaborate on your business and who you are and how to share your culture in a very good way. Another one is responsiveness. So making sure that your website and usability, so making sure that when someone's looking at your website on their phone, it works just as nicely as if they're looking at it on a laptop screen or computer screen, PC screen. And yeah, third one would be keywords. There's a few different tools you can use for this to get the right keywords, but you want to have the words that someone would be typing into Google on your website, because then that is making it easier for Google to go, oh, these people are looking for a fishing rod, and you have fishing rod in your words, in your text on your website. That keyword is going to make Google's job easier, and the algorithm gods will love it, and it'll all come together. So there's 3 things.
Yeah, so working on your SEO, and at the moment, depending on the line of your work you're in, you might have time. Like I'm Salt Studios, so we're sort of quieter during the week with our commercial work because a lot of the stuff we deal with is with people, and I can't be around people at the moment. Like I'm limited to very small groups, and I go to the studio, but again, I can photograph products or buildings or something like that, but when it comes to people, it's tricky. So yeah, it's good. It's been good to be able to sort of get to thinking about creative ways to do things and just doing a few of those things that you might have had on the back burner and thought, oh, that'll be a good idea one day. But yeah, so it's the executing on things too. Like chances are, if you've had the idea, other people have had the idea as well, and you're thinking, oh, someone else will do it, but not many people have actually executed on the idea and done it. So that can be the difference between separating yourself from you and the place down the road that sells the same product or whatever, being front of mind. So creating the content now, potentially when your competitors are quiet, means that when everything returns back to normal, you're going to be front of mind. You're going to be the first business that someone thinks of when they're looking for your certain product. So using the downtime is good. So it's, just a little bit of, I guess, encouragement to be on top of your content creation in the downtime, and it'll serve you well down the track when it all goes back to normal. So if you have questions, comments, ideas for other sort of videos or information that you'd like to have that we might be able to help with, you can email me, andrew@saltstudios.net.au, or email
Letoya at flairmarketing.net.au.
Thanks for your time.